let's get started with our next panel, growing up in South Central. If I could do a quick roll call, everyone can unmute and let me know they're here by saying hello. So I'm going to start. Coro, are you here? Okay. Carmen, are you here?
Right here.
Awesome. Emmeline, are you here?
Here.
Christelle, are you here?
Hi, I'm here.
And Christian, are you here?
What's up, Christian?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, and last but not least, Aaron, are you here?
I saw Aaron, he just came on.
Okay.
Hey, everyone.
Okay. Awesome. Glad you guys could all make it. Can you guys all start by introducing yourself and telling us a bit about yourself?
I guess I'll go first. So my name is Carmen, for those that do know me. Hey, Mariana. And just to shout out back to my professor, it is so glad to see him and to hear from him. What kind of threw me off guard was somebody texted me on the direct chat. And I'm like, who is this trying to message me? And they're like, oh, are you a former student? And I was like, depends on who's asking. But after we started talking, I found out that it was actually one of my only favorite professors at Cal State LA at that time when I was going. At that time, I had a lot of other classes, but his class was the only class that actually stuck out to me because he really showed that like he cared about his students and all of that. But enough of the yibber yabber. But like I said, I am Carmen. I am 22 years old. I grew up in South Central, of course, the best place to me. And I also go to El Camino College. A little bit more personal about me is that, well, sorry, before that, my major in El Camino is actually child development. I do plan on transferring back to Cal State LA so I can complete my master's and also get another major in psychology, which is one of my also favorite things to do. And then second of all, like I said, my personal things, I like video games. I love sports. Go Lakers. You can argue with me about the Lakers all we want, but we could take that to the chat. And another thing is I like to do fun stuff like go karting and play video games, and anime is one of my big things. So if you wanna hit me up about anime, I got you. I'll talk your ear off about that. So yeah, nice to meet you guys.
Great. Let's go to Aaron.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? And sorry for the sudden join. So my name is Aaron Francis. In short, I'm a longtime supporter, fan, advocate for Genesee. So it's an absolute honor and pleasure to be here. Today, I'm a lawyer. I currently live in New York City. I've moved around the country quite a bit, but was born and raised in South Central, specifically Normandy and 60th. So shout out to anyone in that radius. And so, yeah, man, I'm happy to talk about whatever today, and look forward to connecting with everyone.
Great. Christelle?
Yeah, I can go. So hi, everybody. I'm Christelle. I'm a first-year computer science major and Posse LA scholar at Bucknell University, which is in Pennsylvania, but I've been studying remotely for my first year, so I haven't seen the campus yet. I was born and raised in South LA, more so Jefferson Park, but recently just moved to Ladera. So as for my involvement with Genesee, I've been involved with Genesee for as long as my mom has been working there, so about 10 years plus or so. And I'm very grateful for the experiences I've gained along the way. And I'm very grateful for being on this panel as well. And personal stuff, maybe I do like playing the piano. I'm a pianist. I really love music and traveling. So I can't wait to get back to that after, this pandemic stuff slows down. But yeah, and spending time with my friends and family for sure.
Great, great. I think we have Emily next, and then Christian.
Hi, everyone. My name's Emmeline. I'm a current senior at Teach Tech Charter High School, and I will be attending UCLA this fall. I guess a few things about me is, and first and foremost, I will be studying political science. I hope to go to law school. I'm not sure what I'm going to specialize in yet, but definitely want to go. And I guess some personal things about me is that I really love film. I plan on minoring in film, and I'm actually a fellow at Ghetto Film School, and I start this summer, so that's very exciting. And yeah, I'm born and raised in South Central. I really appreciate the community, and I've learned quite a lot. So I'm very excited to talk to you guys about it.
Awesome. Christian.
My name is Christian Campbell. I was born at South Central. We go to Hamilton High School. I'm in the 9th grade. I like sports, video games. Yeah.
Great, great. Coral, are you here? No. Okay, cool. So going into our next question, we're gonna begin with Christelle, and then we'll follow along. So can you talk a little bit about growing up in South LA and how has it made you the person that you are today?
Yeah, so I always tell people, like, I feel like at least where I kind of grew up in South LA, there were people that looked like me, and there were also people from like several different backgrounds. So I felt like I was always being able to interact with people from various backgrounds, and kind of like I can also speak to my community, but also other communities. And I just felt like that really helped bond friendships and whatnot. Even I just thought about it, as I believe it was Christian who just said it, goes to Hamilton. I went to Hamilton actually, and I know that school is more on like the west side of LA. And it's very big cultural melting pot at that school. And you see some faces that don't exactly look like you, but they had quite a big feed in of students from South LA. So just being able to kind of take that community that you're familiar with over to a school like that, I don't know, it just felt really nice and really enhanced my like sense of community. So it was quite enjoyable.
Good. Aaron, go next.
Yeah, happy to. I agree a lot with what Crystal said. I think it's a melting pot in a lot of ways, and I think you know being able to be a part of it. It's interesting, right? So when I lived there, I don't think it was something that I fully appreciated. It's like one of those things when like a part of you don't really have to think about a part of your identity because you're always actively in it. But I've had the privilege really of being able to kind of like hop in different spaces, and quite frankly, South Central gets a bad rap. In all the spaces that I kind of go to, and so I've kind of taken it as a personal mission for myself to really just kind of like educate people on like, well, like, here are the positives about South Central, right? It's very familial. It's very inspiring in that way. And I'm very grateful to have grown up in LA when I did. And so, yeah, man, I want to echo Crystal. Like it feels like a melting pot. It's a place with a lot of hope. And this is a perfect example of it.
We can go home with next, Emily.
Yeah, I also agree with what they said. I think as I attend school around here, and I have for my whole life. So I think in that sense, it is kind of, I guess I'm kind of scared to go out and, meet new people because I'm so used to seeing people that obviously like have familiar experiences as I do. And it's more of like a relatability, and it's very inspirational, like Erin said, because you really do see a lot of hardworking people and a lot of people that obviously struggle as well. And it's very inspirational to get to these places where you have the opportunity to continue growing, and like they said, talk about how South Central is really not the stereotypes, and it's really a bigger picture.
We can go with Christian and then Carmen.
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
The question is, can you talk a little bit about how growing up in South Central so far has made you who you are today?
I guess I can say it helped me develop as a person.
Right.
Like when I went to the camp, helped me like develop social skills, I guess, who to talk to, what you shouldn't be doing, what you should be doing, I guess stuff like that.
Right. Carmen?
Just to piggyback off what everybody else is saying, it is a melting pot, and it also creates a sense of connection, because you can literally just walk around the corner, and if you see that person enough of times, like at your favorite donut shop or something like that, soon enough you're gonna create that connection. Like, oh, hey, Mr. Bradley, how you doing today? I know we all had that moment, and I think that's really a beautiful thing because sometimes we take that for granted, especially due COVID. We take the connection that we had before for granted. Now we have to rely on our cell phones to kind of replace that connection. So I think that the experience in South Central just it creates a lot of memories and a lot of strength, because when you walk down the street you have to realize that everybody has their own story, and those stories can also add on to your story. They can help you pick up the pen and write, which that's what it did for me. I felt like everybody that I met in South Central helped me pick up my pen and be like, all right, like we're gonna be your backbone. We're gonna, build your character up and just put you out in the world. So yeah.
I just want to say it's honestly so inspiring to hear about all of your guys' achievements and being in college and on your way to college. So definitely congrats to you guys. But I definitely know the road wasn't easy. So I want to know, like, what were your challenges of growing up in South LA and what were some challenges you faced getting to where you are right now? And I would love to start with Aaron.
Yeah, absolutely. So, gosh, this is so context. So like I mentioned, I'm a lawyer in New York now. I went to college at Morehouse and had the privilege of going to Harvard for law school and policy school. And so much of like how I've navigated my spaces is a result of like the lessons that I learned being in South Central. And like you kind of alluded to, like they're not always easy lessons. South Central is a place where you got to follow a lot of rules. And you guys know that, right? Like it can be a tricky place to navigate. And so, I mentioned it when I, answered the last question that it's very familial. And I think a large factor in terms of like how I was able to navigate South Central correctly was a result of like the family community that I'd had. There was a lot of, really bad things that you could get into. And I was very fortunate to have folks that were actually involved in that activity actively protect me from like engaging in things that might have, led me down a different path. And so I'm immensely grateful that I was able to kind of have that support. And it's not always what people think about when they think about South Central. So but it's been it's a critical part of like my story, and I'm grateful for that community.
Totally.
Thank you. Emily?
Since I recently applied to college, I think a huge challenge for myself was kind of the lack of resources that we have in this community. It's really a huge thing that's not really talked about. You don't really realize it until it's too late. I remember I was a sophomore, and then I was like, you know what, my school doesn't even have like more than one counselor for the whole school. So I didn't have as much help as I would have wanted or needed. But thankfully, there are a lot of opportunities. You just really have to look for them. And, a lot of kids don't really want to go out and like search for these things. But It's definitely a challenge that I'm really grateful that, like Aaron said, there were people there to push me and teach me things that I wouldn't have known otherwise, because of the system that, you know, we're born into.
Definitely. Carmen?
Some of the challenges, like my colleague said once again, in growing up in South Central, was the lack of resources, and sometimes the lack of support. Because of the upbringings that my family had, um, I am the first generation, so they really didn't have that much education when it came to college or even high school. I used to live with my grandmother, and I would be like, I need help with math, and she was like, "Well, you gonna fail because I don't know where the X go, and I don't know why you got F, B, and C in it, you know." And I had to tell the teacher, like, "Look, can you settle for a C?" But being the only person in my school, I was thankfully a part of Coco. I was a Saya alumni, so I was the only Saya person at my school trying to motivate my school, like, hey, you guys need these resources, like sign up for this petition because like you need the money. And the school, they had, sadly, like everybody had the mentality of like, we didn't get help before, so why try to get help now. And when people lose hope, that's a hard thing to come off of, because once you lose hope, you just want to feel like, you know what, if this don't work out, then nothing works out, and let me just be that. And that was kind of a struggle for me, because all that mentality did get onto me. And at first in high school, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna be another statistic. I'd rather just give up like my family did, because they doing straight. I guess I could be straight, but yeah, it's a bunch of
Yeah.
hurdles in South Central, but you just gotta, keep going and keep having that hope, even if you're the only person that has that hope. Because if I heard that you can tell somebody one negative thing, but to come off of that, you're gonna have to tell them 10 positive things. So in reverse to that, you're gonna have 10 people that's gonna be negative. But if you that one person that got hope, and you have enough hope, you can have enough hope to make other people realize, like, all right, like let me step on this pedestal with you.
Right.
So,
I agree totally. You gotta make sure that you have resilience, and don't give up so easy. It's so easy to throw in the towel and give up. You gotta really work hard to stay the course,
True.
and stay the distance. So that's important.
Yeah, it's all about believing in yourself and believing in your future, to be honest. Like, you are in control of your future. I think people forget about that a lot. But let's switch over to Christian.
I guess some of the obstacles I had to deal with would be like uh bad influence from other people or friends, as you guys could say. Uh they could sometimes like want to put you down, like saying you can't do this or do that. But like you could prove them wrong by doing what you need to do.
Yeah, a lot of the time our peers will influence us, or they'll try to tear us down sometimes. Or we just have to, in our mind, know who we are. So that's why we want to practice self-love and taking care of ourselves, so that we can have a clear vision of what we want to do.
Definitely. And Christelle?
Definitely have to agree with what Carmen was saying. I believe Emmeline was saying as well, with the support in terms of lack of support or resources, because once you get off to college, it can get really difficult. Like the workload gets harder, everything gets harder, material gets harder, subjects get harder, and it can be really hard to find that either group of people you find to support, or whatever you find would really support you, because you can have that feeling of being alone. And I think Christian had said it too, like if the people around you are kind of on that same wavelength of like not really wanting to do better, just kind of wanting to stay where you're at, it can be quite discouraging, because you don't have like a model to follow and you're not really moving forward or making any progress. So definitely agree on the resources part. It's it's really important to find a group of people that, think like us or are like-minded so we can move with them, because once you have that, I feel like it's a pretty good start, at least in terms of wanting to, go off, and whether it's in education or something more, but just moving forward.
Cool. Starting with Carmen this time, what are some of the positive things about growing up in South LA? So we know that we have some negative things and a lack of resource sometimes, but what are those positive things that make us really pop out?
There's a lot of positive things in South LA. I think a lot of people don't realize how beautiful South LA can be. I'm sorry, there's a dog barking, and I can't help that. But anyways, like I was saying, a lot of people don't realize how beautiful it can be, and the beautiful people that you can meet. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Lamert Park area, but I love hanging around there because you never know who you're gonna meet. I treat everybody with respect, even homeless people, because I've spoken to a couple of homeless people, believe it or not, that have given me wisdom that I just that helped me move on with my life. Especially, I did mention earlier Community Coalition. If I did not find Community Coalition, I say this with the almost honesty, I would not be here where I am today because of the amount of support that Community Coalition has given me. I did go through a lot of things like back then, and I was kind of like very quiet. So before I was very quiet and I was, I didn't talk to people, but now you can't shut me up. So that's kind of Community Coalition with that one. But it's such a blessing because they made me the person that I am today. Like they built so much confidence in me that I didn't even think that I had this much confidence and so much strength and so much love. Like I also met people like friendships. Of course, friendships don't last a long time, but I always think of it as what did you gain from that friendship? If you
Yes.
Even if it's the littlest things like, oh, I gained happiness for this amount of time, even if it was a short time, you got happiness, or
Yeah,
even
yeah.
if you got resources such as like they taught you how to love yourself or whatever the case might be. That's some of the beautiful things in South LA that we also take for granted, just avoiding other people and not realizing what's out there, not putting yourself out there, always being so negative. So if you just start opening up, take a deep breath, walk down the streets safely,
Of course.
safely, um,
Yeah, yeah.
knowing where you're supposed to go in the right areas, you will find yourself experiencing experiences that you never thought you would experience. Sorry, I didn't like the way that sounded, but
Okay.
so
But yeah, you can learn from anyone. So you never put that out your mind. You can always learn from anybody. And you have a great personality. It stands out. We allow hear from Christelle.
Yeah, definitely that, the people, and I'd say like, knowing that there are people out there willing to support you. And, like Emmeline said, you just kind of have to look for it. You have to really go deep and like find it, but it's there. Definitely the support is there. I know several schools have programs on their campuses, but there's also, outside programs that are willing to help students with whatever it may be, ranging from like mental health to academics. It doesn't always just have to be school. I just feel like there are good people out there, whether you think there are or not, that are willing to help students like us from these communities. And they'll provide you with some really valuable information that you'll take with you for like the rest of your life. So yeah, kind-hearted city, kind-hearted people.
Great.
And so I'm also from South Central in LA, and I think our experience growing up is very unique. Would you guys agree? And if so, how do you think it's unique? And we'll start with Aaron.
It's it's incredibly unique for a lot of the reasons everyone's discussed so far. I'll focus on two things. I think like I just love the character of South Central people. I feel like folks are very honest, they're very real. Like folks don't really have time for the nonsense. Like sometimes like a lot of that lack of resources that like Emily and Christelle, Carmen, everyone talked about, like it creates a hustle in you, right? Like people from South Central just know how to move, they know how to get what they need, they know like and it's like I said, it was hard for me to appreciate that when I was in South Central. But then you get out and you know there's a lot of fugazi, if you will, outside of South Central. So that's the first thing. Another, and I just got, this is like kind of like personal, but I think, you know, this is very appropriate given this is like sponsored by Genesee. You know, I want to give a huge shout out to Genesee, like, and Angie, like they created forums like this and like exposed me to issues that I just wasn't even like aware of, right? So like the idea of, you know, domestic violence and the idea that you know, this was like a really like a domestic global issue. And so I'm incredibly grateful for Genesee for creating spaces exactly like this that really had me thinking about things. I don't think that's true of every area, man. Like Genesee really held it down in that respect. So I want to make sure I give acknowledgement to the org.
Certainly. Like you said, I want to just highlight that what you said about when those roosters aren't there, it creates a hustle in you. I feel like that really defines a lot of our characters from our South Central area. You all have that hustle, that grind. I think that's important.
Yeah, I definitely agree. South LA definitely gives big make it out energy, but in a good way. Just like all of us want to just make it out, but like get back to our communities at the same time. We want to make it out, get our money, and then put it back into our community and put it back into ourselves and create amazing programs like Genesee does for all of us. And so next up, I want to hear from Emmeline.
I definitely think that I would not be the person that I am today if it wasn't for my experiences here in South Central. Like the others have said, you know, it definitely does create this sort of drive in you. And it also adds from like people that like you see how, you know, like Community Coalition, Genesee Center, like how they're giving back to their community. And it honestly is inspirational. And it's very unique from other places. I know that I'm currently interning at Community Coalition, and I actually interned at a previous company located in Glendale. Definitely a very different experience. I think that even myself, I even put up a front of like, you know, there's a bunch of kids that have this opportunity because of their parents. You know, it's all very generational. And I think that it's definitely different field to actually work with your community. It honestly inspires you. And I really do wish to continue working with, you know, the nonprofits that I've worked with thus far, because I just think that it feels good because of the family that you've, you know, created outside of your immediate family here in South Central.
Yeah, I definitely can relate to that. I attend a private PWI in Brentwood, and my freshman year was such a culture shock for me. It was really weird to be around like money and seeing designer every day. Because in South Central, it's like we're just chill. Like everyone just handles their own thing. Everyone has their own style, and everyone like looked alike. And everyone was like carrying themselves by their net worth or how much their dad made. And so it was really weird for me to like just be there and not have the same wealthy materials as they did. But I think a big thing that kept me going was like knowing that I can do everything that they can do. And I'm also just as smart as them too. So I think we all have that amazing mindset and we don't let anything stop us no matter where you come from. And it doesn't matter where you come from, you can still achieve all your dreams. I think that's a big message today. All youth are capable of doing what they want. And so on that note, we're going to close it out. Thank you guys so much for participating and giving such great advice. Like I said, again, you guys are all so inspiring. I'm also from South Central LA, so like hearing you guys are a lot older than me. Hearing all the things you guys are doing are definitely pushing me to also work hard myself. Now we're going to have a 5-minute break and DJ Do That will play some more music.